Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm Lang Zhang. Here's a preview of some of today's stories. Every driver knows about gas prices right now. The gas tax is about to go up, and state lawmakers have decided that pausing it is off the table. Now they're switching their focus. The governor ordered the 400,000 doses of COVID-19 jabs. He says he hopes they will be used on children under 5. Some doctors and researchers recommend otherwise. And an outbreak of bacteria hit trout in California hatcheries. Now thousands will have to be euthanized. We'll have the details on what's been done. Summer is here, and the state's gas tax is set to rise at the beginning of July. With no gas tax relief in sight, state lawmakers have a new initiative: investigate alleged gas price gouging. NTD's Cynthia Kai has the details on the new focus.
Assembly Democrats announced on Monday the creation of a new select committee to investigate whether the oil and gas industry is engaging in price gouging.
California leaders must protect consumers from further harm. That is why earlier this month I signed a letter urging a pause in the gas tax increase for 1 year. But as legislators, we owe it to our constituents to answer the question on everybody's mind: why do gas prices continue to rise?
The new committee can order oil company executives to hearings and demand they show records of their profits.
Gas pricing is a complicated issue with a multitude of factors contributing to the price we pay at the pump.
In response, Republican Assembly Leader James Gallagher posted his own investigative report on Twitter. The graph he posted shows how taxes and fees can add an average of $1.30 to the price of gas. According to Gallagher's post, California taxes include a 51 cents per gallon state excise tax, which will increase to 53.9 cents on July 1st, an 18 cents per gallon federal excise tax, and an estimated 12 cents per gallon sales tax. And fees include a 22 cents per gallon fee for low-carbon gas programs, a 25 cents per gallon fee for greenhouse gas programs, and a 2 cents per gallon fee for underground tank storage. For months, Republicans have pushed for suspension of the gas taxes. Assemblyman Gallagher wrote on Twitter, if Capitol Democrats were really doing everything in their power to lower gas prices, they would support our call to suspend the gas tax and halt the scheduled July 1st increase. Californians don't need another dead-end study. They need relief now. Similarly, Assemblyman Kevin Kiley referenced the federal excise tax, writing that even Joe Biden wants to suspend the gas tax. Meanwhile, lawmakers invited a nonprofit consumer advocacy organization that emphasized the need for environmental protection.
California has made it clear that needs to and wishes to be at the forefront of environmental protection. And so we are unwilling to trade in our cleaner blend of gas that just for price at the pump.
But Harrell did suggest cutting the mystery gas surcharge of 30 cents. This tax is a holdover from the 2015 Torrance refinery fire. These proposals come as California saw a 5-cent decrease in the average price of gas over the Father's Day weekend. The national average also dipped below $5 per gallon compared to last week.
One of the largest school districts in the country has its proposed budget for the coming school year. The new superintendent hopes to move away from COVID and improve student performance. NTD's Daniel Hall reports.
The federal government is giving the Los Angeles Unified School District $4.8 billion in emergency COVID funding. That comes on the heels of dropping enrollment. Last week, the LAUSD superintendent proposed a $18.5 billion budget for the upcoming school year. Of that, $1.9 billion is targeted investment to close academic gaps. Superintendent Alberto Carvalho called the budget the heart and fuel of our school system. He said it will address the district's most pressing issues. This year's proposed budget is about $4.1 billion higher than the previous year's $14.7 billion proposed budget. At the same time, it's $1.5 billion less than the previous year's adopted $20 billion budget. Funding is being prepared for improving student performance. To boost academic performance, the proposed budget allots $122 million for extended instruction days. There will also be $24 million for the district's Black Student Achievement Plan. The plan aims to address disparities between Black students and their peers. Along with closing learning gaps, Carvalho is focused on transitioning schools away from COVID-19 protocols. But at the same time, he warned the school board that the district is facing both declining enrollment and, in turn, lower funding. Daniel Hall, NTD News, California.
California is planning to begin administering COVID-19 jabs to kids 5 and under, some as young as 6 months old. The governor pre-ordered 400,000 doses this weekend, but not all doctors and scientists are on board.
Over the weekend, Governor Gavin Newsom pre-ordered nearly 400,000 doses of both the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines. It will be administered at 8,500 vaccine sites in the state. This comes after a group of scientists submitted a review to Newsom and unanimously concluded that vaccines are safe and effective for children as young as 6 months old. The review, which was also sent to governors in Oregon, Washington, and Nevada, prompted Newsom to pre-order the vaccines. In a statement, Newsom said, "Vaccines are safe, effective, and widely accessible. We're strongly encouraging parents to protect their kids from COVID-19 with these vaccines."
This means that the whole family essentially can be vaccinated. That means protection against the short-term and long-term consequences of COVID.
According to CDC provisional data, over the last 2 years, more than 1 million COVID-19 deaths were reported in the United States. Out of all those deaths, children under the age of 17 made up for just over 0.001% of deaths. The U.S. Drug and Food Administration authorized the vaccines for the young children on June 17th and were recommended by the CDC on June 18th. After the authorization, a doctor in the UK explains why they should not have been approved.
The trial recruited 4,526 children aged from 6 months to 4 years old. 3,000 of these children did not make it to the end of the trial. That is a huge number. 2/3 of them. Why was there this drop-off? That needs to be answered. And without an answer to that, on that basis alone, this trial should be deemed null and void.
A recent study published in the New England Journal of Medicine revealed that vaccination increases risk of COVID-19 infection. The study found infection without vaccination gives immunity. After analyzing the Omicron wave in Qatar, scientists found that having 2 doses of a COVID-19 vaccine has been linked with negative protection, while a previous infection without vaccination offers around 50% immunity.
According to California wildlife officials, 2 fish hatcheries in California are battling a bacterial outbreak. They said nearly 350,000 fish must now be euthanized. NTD's David Lamb reports.
The California Department of Fish and Wildlife say that nearly 350,000 infected trout must be humanely euthanized. The Wildlife Department announced on Monday that 2 trout hatcheries in the Eastern Sierra are continuing to fight an outbreak of Lactococcus pittauri, which is a naturally occurring bacteria that sickens fish. Symptoms can include bulging eyes and lethargic swimming. Could you tell me what will happen to the fish that will be euthanized?
So the bacteria can cause a blood-borne disease with symptoms including anorexia, bulging eyes with hemorrhaging around the edges, lethargic or erratic swimming, darkening of skin, swollen abdomens, but ultimately it is increased mortality that is the main concern.
The current outbreak was first detected in April, and the rainbow trout are showing signs of disease. The affected facilities, Black Rock and Fish Springs hatcheries, usually provide fish for stocking waterways. Scientists believe that birds may have brought the bacteria to the hatcheries. Ken, could you tell me what will happen to the fish that will be euthanized?
Sure. So unfortunately, due to the bacterial infection, these fish are not fit for human consumption, food banks, fertilizer. So they will be disposed of under Cal EPA guidance and disposed of in a secure landfill facility.
To replace the fish for fishermen, the department is working with an external vendor to provide catchable rainbow trout as early as July. Other hatcheries across the state are helping by providing and stocking fish in priority waters. The department plans to vaccinate the remaining fish at the facilities to combat the outbreak.
The primary preventative measure will be through a vaccination program. After the previous infection, fish at Mojave River received both an immersion and injection vaccine, and those fish have remained vaccine or bacteria-free.
The agency also said it is rare and unlikely to transmit the bacteria to people, but they caution fishermen to cook fish to at least 145 degrees. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
In an almost unanimous decision, the United States Supreme Court has voted to limit a California labor law, a highly anticipated victory for many employers in the state.
On June 15th, the U.S. Supreme Court reversed a California appellate court's decision that upheld a class action labor complaint against Viking River Cruise. The complaint was a special California type from the Private Attorney General's Act, or PAGA. The law was originally enacted to regulate unlawful and illegal business practices. It allows for employees to file lawsuits for labor law violations. These lawsuits can be filed individually with other employees or on behalf of the state. The case in question comes from former Viking River employee Angie Moriana. She filed a PAGA complaint for multiple alleged labor violations on behalf of other employees. But she signed an arbitration contract when she began working with Viking River, waiving her right to any class action on behalf of other employees. Justices agreed that the filed PAGA complaint violates the rights of her employer. California Attorney General Rob Bonta expressed his disappointment with the ruling. He has said that workers can still bring claims on behalf of the state against employers without these agreements. Moriana can now no longer represent her fellow employees in court. But justices said she can still argue an individual employment claim for alleged wage violations.
We're going to take a short break, but here's a look at what we got for you when we come back. As July 4th approaches, officials are warning of wildfire and harm from illegal fireworks. Some areas are offering buyback programs to hand over such fireworks without consequence. Iconic Southern California trees are staying off the endangered list. That comes after a split vote between officials. They will reconsider if the trees need protection several months from now. And SpaceX launched a military satellite from a Southern California Space Force base. We'll have the details on the launch and the status of the rocket. That and more on California Today. In preparation for this year's Independence Day, the LA City Attorney is warning its residents about the use of illegal fireworks. Officials say that there will be severe consequences for those who participate.
Los Angeles City Attorney Mike Feuer is encouraging residents to leave the fireworks display to the professionals. He stressed this over California's ongoing drought and the risk of both serious injury and uncontrolled fires from using illegal fireworks. In 2020, an illegal fireworks display caused a North Ridge apartment fire, causing multiple injuries and displacing many residents. Officials state that they are working on prevention tactics that include removing firework advertisements from online platforms. Meta, Craigslist, and OfferUp are all cooperating with city officials to identify and remove those ads from their platforms. The city is also working to spread awareness to residents about the dangers of illegal fireworks. They will be holding its second annual buyback program on July 2nd. Residents will be able to anonymously surrender their fireworks without consequences. City officials have warned that there will be severe penalties and prosecution for those engaged in the advertisement, sale, and usage of illegal fireworks. Last year, over 9,000 firework injuries were reported. Many pets go missing on July 4th, more than any other day of the year.
A man was found smuggling almost 30 pounds of meth in his children's booster seats. He was stopped at the border with his family in the car.
With the help of their canine agents, California Border Patrol busted a meth smuggler in Murrieta on June 15th. They found $60,000 worth of methamphetamine hidden in 3 of his children's booster seats. Aaron Heitke, Chief Patrol Agent at the San Diego sector, said in a release, "Drug smugglers will use any means necessary to get their poison onto our streets. Nothing is sacred to them, not even family." According to an official announcement, the driver was traveling with his wife and 4 kids on Interstate 15 when stopped by the agents. U.S. Customs and Border Patrol agents seized both the vehicle and 27 pounds of meth. The driver was arrested and will face prosecution by the Inland Crackdown Allied Task Force. His wife and kids were released.
Now, an iconic species of tree in Southern California is not going on the threatened species list, at least for the time being. The lack of change comes after a split vote on the status to give the desert flora.
Last week, the California Fish and Game Commission voted in a split 2-2 vote about whether or not to list the Joshua tree under the state's Endangered Species Act. The tie vote result means that the commission will hear the issue again in October. The commission requested additional feedback from tribes. They also asked the Department of Fish and Wildlife to create a conservation plan for the trees. Conservationists have cited extreme drought and high temperatures as an existential threat to the desert natives. Many of the trees occupy the Joshua Tree National Park, east of San Bernardino and north of Palm Springs.
Airports across the country saw delays or cancellations in their scheduled flights. California's Southland airports were no exception.
A nationwide wave of flight cancellations this weekend affected several Southern California airports, including Los Angeles International. The cancellations are being blamed on airline staffing shortages. According to the tracking site FlightAware.com, there were 15 scrapped flights and nearly 140 delays on Monday at LAX. John Wayne Airport in Orange County had no cancellations but had 21 flights delayed. Hollywood Burbank Airport had 2 cancellations and 7 delays, while Long Beach had 5 delays. FlightAware reported 2,000 canceled flights and 12,000 worldwide flight delays on Monday.
Elon Musk's SpaceX was busy over the weekend. One of the 3 launches took place in California. Let's take a look.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
SpaceX carried out a launch from California's Vandenberg Space Force Base over the weekend. The Falcon 9 rocket was carrying a German military payload. SpaceX delivered a Sarah-1 military radar satellite into orbit on Saturday. It was one of the 3 launches that Elon Musk's rocket company conducted over the weekend. The other 2 took place in Florida. The large first stage booster rocket successfully landed back at the Space Force Base. It was the 3rd launch and landing of the booster.
Now to NTD's Thomas Christian for an update on sports.
I'm Thomas Christian, giving you the California Today Sports Roundup. Checking in with our California Major League teams, here's some of the latest from the ballpark. Jack Sawinski's 3rd home run of the game Sunday came in walk-off fashion in the 9th inning as the Pittsburgh Pirates avoided a series sweep with a 4-3 win over the visiting San Francisco Giants. After the Giants tied the game in the top of the 9th with Thairo Estrada's solo homer, Sawinski led off the bottom of the 9th against Tyler Rogers with a shot right on a 1-1 pitch. It was Sawinski's 11th homer, leading all Major League rookies. Pirates 4, Giants 3. Oscar Gonzalez hit his first career home run and Andre Imedes hit a go-ahead RBI single in the 9th as visiting Cleveland beat Los Angeles. Freddie Freeman hit a home run for the Dodgers and left-hander Andrew Heaney gave up just 1 earned run over 5 innings after spending 2 months on the injured list with left shoulder inflammation. Guardians 5, Dodgers 3. Mike Trout hit a tie-breaking 2-run homer and 6 pitchers combined on a 2-hitter as Los Angeles dropped Seattle to 3-8 to conclude its 11-game homestand. The Angels, who had lost 18 of their previous 20 games entering the series, took 4 of 5, with Trout hitting a go-ahead home run in each of their wins. Trout hit 5 homers in the series. Angels 4, Mariners 0. Swimming's world governing body, the International Swimming Federation, or FINA, on Sunday voted to restrict the participation of transgender athletes in elite women's competitions and create a working group to establish an open category for them in some events as part of its new policy. Transgender rights has become a major talking point as sports seek to balance inclusivity while ensuring there is no unfair advantage. FINA's decision, the strictest by any Olympic sports body, was made during its extraordinary General Congress after members heard a report from a transgender task force comprising leading medical, legal, and sports figures. The new eligibility policy for FINA competitions states that male to female transgender athletes are eligible to compete only if they can establish to FINA's comfortable satisfaction that they have not experienced any part of male puberty beyond Tanner Stage 2 or before age 12. Whichever is later. The policy was passed with a roughly 71% majority after it was put to the members of 152 national federations with voting rights who had gathered for the Congress at the Puskas Arena. Sid Ziegler Jr. of Outsports magazine was available for comment via Reuters.
This FINA policy is going to have a huge impact on the policies in different states. Some states like California, I don't think this is going to change Connecticut, but other states that are somewhere between Texas and California are going to look at this and absolutely say, well, maybe we should follow suit. And that again, to me, is the real crime. The fact that this policy may end up affecting a 14-year-old kid in high school, that makes me sad.
Advocates for transgender inclusion argue that not enough studies have yet been done on the impact of transition on physical performance, and that elite athletes are often physical outliers in any case. The International Olympic Committee also has already issued a framework on the issue, leaving eligibility decisions up to individual sports bodies, but adding that until evidence determines otherwise, athletes should not be deemed to have an unfair or disproportionate competitive advantage due to their sex variations, physical appearance, and or transgender status. That's all for today's California Sports Roundup.
That's all for tonight. You can join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. If you have any news, tips, or ideas for the show, or you just want to let us know how we're doing, our email is california.today@ntd.com. I'm Liang Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.